Good evening, everyone. This is the regularly scheduled meeting of the Municipal Land Use Board for the Borough of River Edge. It is Wednesday, October 26, 2022 at 7:32 p.m. This meeting of the Municipal Land Use Board of the Borough of River Edge is being held remotely and recorded via Zoom due to Borough Council chambers being unavailable for renovations. It is in compliance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act and associated regulations. Notice of this remote meeting was published in the Bergen Record on October 6, 2022, posted on the front doors of Borough Hall and posted on the borough's website. The notice included the dial-in and login information necessary for public participation and access to this meeting remotely. A copy of the agenda for this meeting was made available on the borough's website near the posting of the meeting notice and included the dial-in and login information. During the public comment period of this meeting, if you would like to make a public comment, please press the raise hand button on Zoom or dial *9 on your telephone keypad to raise your hand. The board will address you by name or by the last 4 digits of your telephone number. You may mute and unmute yourself by pressing the microphone icon on Zoom or dialing *6 on your telephone keypad. You must state your name and address prior to making a public comment. With that being said, Ms. Snively, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, thank you. Mr. Mayor,
Here.
Mr. Caslin,
Here.
Ms. Boland. I saw her. She's on.
Yes, here, sorry.
Mr. Merman,
Here.
Mr. Pfeffer. I don't see him yet. Absent at the moment. Mr. Craig,
Here.
Mr. Kellyan,
Here.
Mr. Gibbons.
Here.
Councilman Kenigo is excused tonight. Mr. Esposito.
Here.
And Mr. Bastide is excused tonight as well. Also present as our board planner, Mr. Behrens.
Okay. First item on the agenda this evening is the approval of minutes from our October 12th, 2022 meeting. Draft of the minutes were circulated to the board for review prior to this evening's meeting. I'll open it to the board for comments, questions on the draft of those minutes. Okay, there being none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as drafted.
So moved.
I think I had a first, Mr. Cray, and a second from Mr. Gibbons. Okay, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed and
And
abstained?
Ms. Boland was absent that day.
Okay, so record reflected on that particular item. Thank you. Next item on our agenda this evening is a memorialization for Cafe Teja LLC. Mr. Young Her. Property is 528 Kinderkamack Road, Block 804, Lot 7.01. A draft of the resolution granting site plan approval on the food handler's license for that premises was issued to the board for review prior to this evening's meeting. I'll open it to the board for comments on the draft resolution. Okay, there being no comments, I will entertain a motion to approve the resolution as presented.
So made.
Okay, I think I got Mr. Gibbons on a first and Mr. Merman on a second. Okay,
All right. And I'll only call those eligible to vote. Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
Mr. Caslin,
yes.
Mr. Merman,
Yes.
Mr. Cray,
Yes.
Mr. Kellyan,
Yes.
Mr. Gibbons,
Yes.
and Mr. Esposito.
Yes.
All right, the motion passes.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Our next agenda items this evening is under completeness review. First application is for 472 River Edge LLC, the Bubble Tea Cafe, 472 Kinderkamack Road, Block 804, lots 13 and 14. This is an application for food handlers license and site plan approval. Or site, I should say, this is site plan approval in connection with a food handler's license. Ms. Steinle?
Yes, so prior to this meeting, I reviewed the proofs submitted by the applicant and found them to be sufficient for the board to proceed this evening.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Behrens?
And in reviewing the application materials, they appear to be sufficient for the board to deem them complete, for the application complete.
Okay, thank you. Comments from the board as to completeness? Okay, there being none, I will entertain a motion on completeness of this application.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Cray. May I have a second?
Second, Merman.
Thank you, Mr. Murray.
All right, Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
Mr. Caslin,
Yes.
Ms. Boland,
yes,
Mr. Merman,
Yes.
Mr. Cray,
Yes.
Mr. Arkelian,
Yes.
Mr. Gibbons,
Yes.
Mr. Esposito.
Yes.
All right, the motion passes.
Thank you, everyone. Our next item under completeness review this evening is an application 821 Car Club LLC. Property is 821 Kindercamack Road, Block 206, Lot 9.0. This is an application for site plan approval and variances in connection with a car club. Ms. Steinmetz?
All right, so prior to the meeting, I reviewed the proofs presented by the applicant and found the notice to be sufficient to go forward. However, I just need some clarification as to whether the applicant's requesting D-variance relief, so we can figure out who is going to be able to vote and hear the application.
Okay,
So if Mr. Dictus might want to chime in.
Sure. Good evening, Chris Dictus here for the applicant. With me to my left is the applicant. The issue is the car, it's a C1 commercial zone. The variances that we're looking for, the minimum lot width is existing. The width is not required, the depth is pre-existing, front yard is pre-existing, side yard is pre-existing, both side yards pre-existing, rear yard pre-existing. The height is not necessary, it meets the code. Maximum lot coverage is existing and lot improvement existing. These are all pre-existing uses, building bulk area of the property. The use is really to store cars. It is not in and out. We'll have testimony, we'll have proofs tonight. So the use is really analogous and similar to what was there previously. I remember what used to be the Rolls-Royce repair. This will be not a repair, there'll be minimal repair. It's not an in and out. It'll be on appointment only. There'll be no employees. So I don't see any D variances, council, but it's your decision for the board.
So you're not going to be seeking a D variance?
I'm looking for the same uses that's been pre-existing at the property. So it's a pre-existing use and we're not going to expand. If you require me to put the proofs on for a D variance, I have my planner and she's ready to proceed.
Okay. If I could offer, I think what council is trying to get at is if it becomes a D variance application, that would mean the mayor and councilman couldn't participate. So we would try to, or prefer to deal with that at the onset of the application. Certainly willing to hear testimony as to the use variance application. We don't, or excuse me, whether or not a use variance is required. We don't have to decide that right now, but I think that's the crux of the issue we're trying to figure out again at the onset.
I might suggest this. We have a quorum this evening. Mr. Pfeffer is now arrived. Record show that. Good evening, Mr. Pfeffer. I might suggest that we allow the mayor to sit this application out since we do have a quorum and can hear this application.
I have a comment. I may have a conflict with this application. I am the engineer rep for Cliffside Park, and Mr. Dictus is the borough attorney for Cliffside Park. So I don't know if that's a conflict.
No, that wouldn't be a conflict.
Okay, great.
Thanks. Okay. So the board does have, the proofs are sufficient for the board to move forward. I think it would be prudent for the mayor to sit the application out based on the planner's report dated October 21st, calling out a D1 use variance.
Okay, so Mr. Mayor, this is item 2 under new business this evening. So we'll excuse you when we get to that part of the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Castle.
Okay. Mr. Behrens, turn to you on completeness.
Right. So, and just again, going back to the use issue, you know, I haven't declared that a use variance is required. I think we just need further testimony to figure that out. So I just wanted to offer that. With regard to the application materials, the information appears to be sufficient. I would offer that on the most recent, we'll call them, I guess, architectural plans. There's a schematic site plan. I think it's, in my opinion, I would say it's sufficient enough to move forward, but if the board finds the application favorable, they may want a more formal site plan as a condition. Again, if we get to that point, that would be my only comment. But again, I think there's enough information pertaining to the building plans and the site itself that the board can move forward this evening.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Behrens. Comments from the board as to completeness? Okay. This time I will entertain a motion on completeness of this application.
So moved. Gibbons.
Thank you, Mr. Gibbons. May I have a second?
Second, Merman.
Thank you, Mr. Merman.
All right, and I will exclude the mayor from the completeness review. Mr. Caslin,
Yes.
Ms. Boland,
Yes.
Mr. Merman,
Yes.
Mr. Pfeffer. Oh, I know I saw him a minute ago.
I think we lost him.
Oh,
He
we
was
lost
here.
him. Okay, well,
Okay.
Mr. Craig,
Yes.
Mr. Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Gibbons,
Yes.
Mr. Esposito.
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes.
Thank you, everyone. All right, we are moving into the new business portion of this evening's agenda. First item under new business is 472 River Edge LLC, the Bubble Tea Cafe, 472 Kindermack Road, Block 804, lots 13 and 14. This is an application for site plan approval in connection with a food handler license. I believe Mr. Soresti is in the audience this evening. Good evening, Mr. Soresti. You're on mute.
All right, let's see. There is an attendee with their hand up. I'm just not sure if they're related to the applicant.
I am. This is Andrew Missy, and I am the applicant's engineer.
Okay, great. All right, I think I can make you panelist, possibly. All right, I think you're on there now.
Marina, you know Sam Sorest is their attorney.
Yes, he's on. I just can't see him yet.
Okay.
I see, yeah, I see him. His name's on the screen. His camera's turned off.
There we go.
There's Mr. Missy.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Hello.
Sam, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, Mr. Soresti, we're ready for your presentation of your application.
Okay, if I may, I'd like to introduce the application, Sam Soresti, attorney, Fort Lee, New Jersey. I represent Tae Wong, who does business as 472 River Edge LLC. What he's proposing to do is to occupy the River Edge Jewelry Store, which is now vacant. It's in the Crest Plaza or Crest Associates shopping center on Kindermack Road. Basically, the store itself consists of 1,127 square feet. The total shopping center is in excess of 13,000 square feet. It's one of the smallest stores. In fact, there are 10 stores on the upper level, and there's 2 additional establishments in the lower level. What the applicant is seeking to do is to operate a tea shop. So he's not proposing to serve food in the sense of preparing food. There'll be some prepared foods being utilized and brought into the establishment, along with prepared or baked goods. So essentially, it's not a restaurant as we would understand it, but it is an eating establishment. I think initially, looking at the ordinance, this is 350-25. I know Tom felt that he raised the issue whether this should be treated as a fast food establishment. We respectfully submit that there are 9 seats going to be in this store itself. So it does have a prep area for the service and preparation of tea and some light fare. But basically we have 9 seats in this establishment with, I think, 2 tables and another sitting area. If we look at the ordinance, when eating and drinking establishments require only 1 parking space for every 2.5 seats. So basically, we believe it really is the appropriate designation should be 4 parking spaces and not 40, because if it's a fast food, as we know, our ordinance talks about fast food having a minimum parking capacity of 40 cars, 40 parking spaces. So we don't believe that should be the case in this case, but this again is something for the board to decide. The applicant himself basically will be opening up this business between 11 o'clock in the morning and 8 p.m. in the evening. We have a maximum in any shift of no more than 3 employees servicing customers. As far as the use is concerned, it's in the C1 zone and the use itself is permitted. The only variance would be the issue of parking. So whether we need a parking variance because we don't have 40 parking spaces established here. As far as the shopping center is concerned, the requirement for this shopping center, because it consists of over 13,000 square feet, plus the 2 areas in the back, it's 161 spaces are required, only 71 spaces are provided in this application. Basically, that's it. The largest establishment in the shopping center is Joyce Restaurant, which has 126 seats, and it consists of about 4,600 square feet of the floor area. All the other establishments are less than 1,000 square feet, at least in the upper level. And of course, our proposed area is 1,127 square feet, relatively small. For that reason, we believe that the appropriate designation should be an eating and drinking establishment, which is set forth in the parking variant, in the parking ordinance. But basically, we feel that the standard should be basically one parking space for every 2.5 seats. We have 9 seats, so it works out to like four cars. With that being said, we have basically two people will be testifying tonight. We have an expert. We have Andy Missy from Lopatka Associates, engineering firm, and we also have the client, Tae Wong, who operates as the LLC. 2 exhibits, one A1, which is the Lopatka Associates site plan, which is dated August 23, 2022. And we have the floor plan prepared by YJ Chung, dated June 2, 2022. With that being said, I could call our first witness, Andy Missy.
All right, Mr. Missy, could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right, and could you please state your name, spell your last name, and provide the board with your background and experience?
Yes, my name is Andrew Missy, M-I-S-S-E-Y. I'm a licensed professional engineer, licensed in New Jersey since 1989. I have been at Lopatka Associates for 31 years as a project engineer for various commercial and residential projects throughout northern New Jersey. My prior appearance in the borough was about 15 years ago for residential homes near the Howland-Kinderkamak intersection.
All right, thank you. Any objections to Mr. Missy's qualifications? All right.
I'll
here we
suggest
go.
that we accept his credentials.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. I concur with that. Yes. Okay, Mr. Soresi, please proceed.
Okay, Andy, if you could, would you review the existing conditions of the site?
Yes, may I share my screen?
Yes.
Yes, I think you should be able to.
Okay. Hopefully the site plan is now on the screen.
Yes, it is.
Okay, this is the site plan entitled Site Plan Crest Associates, Block 804, lots 13 and 14 in River Edge, dated August 23rd of this year, unrevised, signed by Daniel J. Lamotte of this office. What this plan sets forth is the overall site, which is two lots, lots 13 and 14, which is comprised of about 1.06 acres on the easterly side of Kinderkamak Road. As Mr. Suresti pointed out, the most prominent tenant here is the Joyce Chinese Cuisine. Joseph's Pizzeria is at the northerly end of this particular Crest Plaza. And the River Edge Foot Spa is the southerlymost tenant. The site itself has 71 parking spaces, 17 of which are along the Kinderkamak Road frontage. You enter them from Kinderkamak Road northbound, and they are angled spaces. There are 54 spaces at the lower level in the rear. So overall, there are 71 parking spaces. It's a steep site to the east or on the rear side, and it's obviously very flat along the street side. The proposed Kung Fu Tea is to occupy the 1,200 square foot space immediately to the south of the Joyce Chinese Cuisine, and that is shaded in gray on the site plan. I understand that Mr. Costa's report has been withdrawn, but nonetheless.
I'm sorry. No, Mr. Costa's report is still in effect for this application. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. We have on page 4 of that report a listing of concerns, but let me first go to the second sheet of the report where it states the zoning requirements for this district, the bulk requirements. And Mr. Costa's report in the zoning analysis does set forth accurately what is also shown on our zoning data schedule on the site plan, and that is that we have existing nonconformities for 5 items. The impervious coverage on this site, front yard setback, 2 side yard setbacks, the number of parking spaces, and the planted area. All those nonconformities are proposed to continue with the Kung Fu Tea as a new tenant in this plaza. There's nothing about this application that will change any of those aspects.
Andy, I don't think you testified as to the zone in which this property is located. Maybe you just want to testify as to the zone and whether the use is permitted.
Yes, the C1 commercial zone does permit this particular use. And I think that's demonstrated by the fact that there are other food users within this Crest Plaza development, as well as the strip center immediately to the north that abuts this property. As far as Mr. Costa's report is concerned, the water, sewer, water services, and other utilities, that's the first bullet point on page 4. It does make sense to do a TV inspection of the existing sanitary sewer lateral before construction so that its condition can be assessed. And as to whether a grease trap will need to be installed, the next witness can testify as to that, as well as certain other items related to the operations of the proposed food user. I did walk the site yesterday afternoon. The concrete in front of this premises is in good condition, and I see no reason for any replacement work triggered by this occupancy or this tenancy.
Thank you. As far as there's no particular store management plan for this project, am I correct, Andy?
No,
And there was no landscape plan provided in this particular application, am I correct?
that's correct.
Okay, I don't have any other questions of Mr. Missy, Andy, unless someone else wishes to ask him any questions.
Any questions from the board of the engineer at this time? Okay, Mr. Saresti, please continue.
Yeah, I mean, Andy, also, basically, as far as I know you went over the zoning datum. So the only variance we're really talking about is I guess, the parking variance. Am I correct?
That's correct. It has to do with whether this is a fast food user or the restaurant that requires 2.5 seats, one parking space for every 2.5 seats.
Right. Okay, so if it's the latter, then it would appear to be only 4 parking spaces required. Am I correct?
You are, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I have no further questions of Andy.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Cocker.
Yeah, just a question on that point. How do you distinguish between fast food facility and your proposed facility? What's the distinction between them?
I could just answer that question a little bit, because I looked at the ordinance to see if our ordinance defines fast food establishment, and the ordinance doesn't establish it as a fast food ordinance. I think from our practical standpoint, we know that places like McDonald's and Burger King are typically fast food. Essentially, they're self-service, and basically, usually they're much larger than this establishment. So I don't consider this fast food, but this is something for the board to consider.
Mr. Smith, if I could just offer to that point, I would agree that the ordinance is unclear. Ideally, the ordinance would have definitions for each, which would make it clear, again, the difference between a restaurant and a fast food restaurant. I believe, for prior application, for previous applications, I've sort of interpreted them as, restaurants as those with having table service, and, anything with counter service is kind of being fast food. And I understand there's the different categories, the McDonald's versus the, Joseph's Pizzeria, but to me, that would seem to be one distinguishing factor. Not arguing that the parking's not adequate here, but I believe that's how it's been applied. And, prior to my time, we're definitely due for an ordinance update in that respect. But that's how I've sort of treated them, and that's why I raised that question.
I concur.
But it's up to the board, though.
Yeah.
Could the applicant describe the food preparation that is going to happen in this restaurant?
Yes, I can. I can call the next witness, which is the principal owner of the establishment. His name is Tay Wang, Hwang, and Tay is available to testify, and I can have him testify as to the operation. I think that's important.
Mr. Missy, could you stop
Yeah.
sharing your screen? Okay, there we go. And I see Tay Huang as an attendee, and I've asked him to promote him to a panelist, but I don't know if he's accepted. Let me try one other way. Let's see.
He's a panelist now.
Okay. And we'll need the video to be on for any testimony.
Can you request one more time?
We need to, you see the video so we can take
Yes.
your testimony.
Okay, can you ask for panelist?
Mr. Tay Wong, you're already a panelist.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Can you turn your camera on?
I'll try and, there, I think it should work now.
Now he's muted.
There we go.
No, I think he's, yeah, there he is.
It's unmute.
All right, if you could please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right, and could you please state your name, spell your last name, and provide your address for the record?
Sure. My name is Tay Huang, Hwang, and I live at 264 Taft Road, River Edge, New Jersey.
All right, thank you.
Take, if I may, go over a few questions with you on this particular business. Could you basically describe the operation itself?
So we use tea-based. It's a tea-based drink. We brew tea, different kinds of tea, and we mix it with ice, or we serve it hot or cold. And we use different flavors and toppings to serve to customers. There's no foods. We don't cook any foods in the store. If we do, they're all prepared, and they're just the baked goods. Nothing's baked on premises. It's just basically it's like a Starbucks without coffee. Instead of coffee, we just use tea.
And take, is this basically a self-serve or do you have waiters on tables?
It's a self-serve.
And what is the maximum number of employees that you have in any shift?
It's a maximum of 3 people.
There's 3. And basically, I know you have, I think, you have several tables. I think you have 9 seats in the restaurant. Am I correct?
Yes, as soon as you enter the store, there's 9. There's a high table, and then there's 2 low tables. Total 9 seats.
Okay, and there is in your restaurant, as you come in, I mean, you have floor plans, which was prepared by Mr. Jung. So as I understood it, there is basically a seating area as you come into the store. Am I correct?
Yes.
And then there's like a prep area where people are served or where they purchase their tea or a baked good or a sandwich. Am I correct?
Yes.
What are the hours of operation, by the way?
It's from 11 o'clock to 8 p.m.
Okay. If I have any other questions to ask you. I don't think I really have any more questions to ask of the witness.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Sresti. At this time, let me turn to the board for questions. Mr. Cray, I'll start with you, if I may.
Mr. Wong, is this the first store you opened? Do you have other stores like this?
This is my first store.
It is, okay. So do you have any feel for what kind of traffic you expect through there? Kind of like head count per hour kind of thing to make it viable?
Well, I don't really know because it's my first store.
Mhm.
But usually there's a lot of like Uber orders or DoorDash orders. There's a lot of online orders. So the other stores may sell about 200 cups per day. But I really don't know the traffic. Yeah, but it's mostly just takeout services.
Okay. And the food you said is just all prepackaged from offsite, just pastries, cookies, that kind of thing?
Yes, they're prepared. Just baked goods, donuts maybe, but we don't have anything in plan right now.
Okay. That's all I
And
have.
selling other stuff other than drinks provided by this franchise are not allowed unless we have permission.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cray. Mr. Arakelian?
Could you elaborate on that last statement as far as drinks that you're allowed to sell and what you're not without permission?
Yes, this is a franchise. Anything other than this tea-based bubble tea drinks, we're not allowed to sell without their permissions. And if we want to, we have to get the permissions, and they don't allow anything to cook in the store. They only allow like baked goods, donuts. Those things are only allowed to sell within their policy.
Okay, so it's a franchise that you're opening.
Yes.
Okay, so no coffee.
No coffee.
No coffee. Okay.
No coffee.
Is there egress and egress from the rear parking lot into your store? Is there a way to get to your store from the back?
Yes, there's a common area in the back. There's a staircase and elevator access in the back of the store, and that
So
leads to the parking lot.
Is that where you plan on parking your employees?
Yes.
Okay, so the employees won't be parking in the front at all?
Not at all.
What about DoorDash and the other delivery services that you asked? would they be able to do the pickups from the back? Or would they be
Oh, yeah,
coming from the
just-
front?
Yes.
All right, the reason I'm asking is, I know that in the evening, especially with the anchor store over there, the restaurant, the parking lot gets very crowded.
Uh-huh.
And I've heard a few complaints from the owner of the diner down the block that those people that are parking in that area, because they can't go too far north of the shopping center, because the parking is all posted there, so they're parking in the diner. So my concern is with parking, because obviously we don't want somebody, the parking is difficult there to begin with. Is there a way that you could direct some of your other business to park in the back and then come in the back way, or is it strictly going to be from Kindercomack Road?
Well, I know the traffic because I live in the river edge. But I mean, there's plenty of parking spaces in the back, and a lot of people don't know. But after this business after 6 o'clock, this is pretty much, it slows down it slows down after 6 o'clock.
Yeah, except for the Joyce place.
Yeah. So
That picks up.
yeah, but we're not gonna have a lot of traffic after 5 or 6 o'clock.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. And what street do you live on in River Edge? I didn't hear you.
Taft Road.
Oh, Taft, okay.
Yes, yes.
Well, we're glad to have you. All right,
Thank you.
I'm good, thank you.
You're welcome.
The mayor?
Was I called on? I couldn't hear.
Yes. Any questions, comments for the,
So maybe I missed it, and if I did, I apologize, but I don't remember any testimony about the grease trap.
Well, there's no grease. We're not gonna produce any grease from any of our food. Because this
That
is
was
all
my
tea.
thought. I just was waiting for that testimony because
Uh-huh.
in Mr. Costa's concerns, he asked that the applicant testify whether there be a grease trap. So a grease trap is not going to be placed?
No.
That's my only question. Thank you.
Ms. Boland?
There's nothing submitted regarding signage. I'm assuming you will come in with a conforming sign?
I didn't get the question.
Signage for the restaurant,
Signed?
yes.
Yes, there will be a sign. Yeah, we're gonna put a new sign on the roof.
So it just has to be conforming because you're not asking for any kind of a variance
Oh.
here.
Okay.
Okay.
We can stipulate that it will be a conforming sign,
Okay,
and I'll go over that with him. We didn't go into great detail when I prepped him for the hearing, but we'll prepare a conforming sign, nothing unusual.
okay, that's it.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Boland. Mr. Pepper?
Just a question about deliveries. Where do you expect the deliveries of your supplies? And what hours do you usually expect the deliveries to arrive? I'm not talking about DoorDash or Uber. I'm talking about deliveries of goods to your business.
I heard that these the main ingredients are delivered from Long Island through UPS or FedEx.
Hmm,
So it will arrive with their time
Okay.
frame.
So you wouldn't have separate truck deliveries or something like that? It would just, whatever deliveries you have would be through UPS?
Yes, I was amazed how they deliver this stuff, but they're vacuum sealed. They deliver tea leaves, all the packages via through UPS and FedEx.
Great, thank you.
Yes.
I have no further.
I'm sorry to interrupt. There is under questions and answers, there's a partner that wants to get into the meeting. She's, I guess he's partner in this endeavor. I don't know if you saw it, Chris.
Yeah, I just see it now. Samsung SM, it's not a phone number. It looks like it's a phone. It's identified Samsung SM F936U.
Dan, were you expecting another witness?
No, I wasn't. No, I've only dealt with tape.
Okay, so we'll just wait until the comment period.
His name is Jiwon Sun.
Yes, he's our CFO.
CFO, okay.
Yes.
Would you expecting her to, are you expecting testimony from your CFO?
No, I
So
don't
we-
think so. I don't think so. Not at all. I've never been contacted by anyone other than Mr. Wong, Tae Wong.
Okay,
Okay,
All
they
right.
can make a comment if they want
okay,
at the public comment portion.
okay. Mr. Esposito,
None for me now.
okay, thank you. Mr. Gibbons?
No, when you go last, everyone asks your questions, so I'm good.
Mr. Merman?
Yes, my concerns regarding deliveries and signs have already been covered and answered.
Okay, thank you, sir. And as Mr. Gibbons points out, you go last, you have everything addressed. So I have no further comments or questions. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to open the meeting to the public for statements on this application. We have a motion to open to the public.
So moved, Gibbons.
I
Oh, so-
also see Chief Walker has raised his hand.
Yes. Is it okay if I talk?
Sure.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, I just think it's important to reiterate what Mr. Arakelian said. The parking down there is an issue. You know, you have the business factor, and then you have the fact that unfortunately the two building owners don't always play nice in a sandbox. So that's why you had those signs on the north end. And the customers at the end often take a hit because the landowners will call to have a tow truck remove the cars, and the customer's just going about getting their tea or their food and not even realizing it. So I think it's important that, you know, if we can be serious about the condition of his employees parking in the back, the pickup and drop off of the Uber Eats going in the back, and even his delivery of product, which could change from UPS to a truck, whatever it may be. If that all goes to the back, I think that'll make a big difference. If he puts 3 or 4 employees up front, or Uber Eats is waiting up there, all of a sudden he went from, you know, 3 or 4 spots to 10 spots.
We would be willing to make that a condition of approval if the board so chooses. I think that's a reasonable request, given the limitation of the 17 spots at the front end of the shopping center, the strip center. So I think that's reasonable, and certainly we would endorse any kind of condition of approval based upon that parking format for the rear.
Thanks, Mr. Suresti.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Okay, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to open to the public, please.
I'll move that again.
Thank you, Mr. Gibbons. A second?
Second.
Okay, Ms. Boland, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstain? Okay, at this time, we are now open to the public on this application. Is there anyone in the public wishing to be heard?
If Jiwon Sun, okay, oh,
Jiwon
we have. B- All right, B Wong, could you please state your name and provide your address for the record?
Hello, my name is Barry Wong. I live at 388 Mercer Avenue, River Edge.
Good evening, Mr. Wong.
I'm a resident of the town, longtime resident of the town. I'm also the other property owner that Chief Walker had alluded to. So a couple of issues that I'd like to bring out. I already have an establishment, I believe it's a sushi store, that he does a small subset of bubble tea items already. I mean, but it's a small subset, but you know, I did want to represent him here, you know, in some capacity. Just so, yeah, I understand there's no ordinance to like to stop like another business from selling the exact same thing, you know, like just a few feet away. But I mean, I was, would hope for like, we could get more diversity, but it is what it is, especially in this economic times. The other issue I'd like to bring about was the issue that we've all you pretty much been discussing. The issue of like parking. I don't see his establishment on its own. It's actually a culmination. Ironically, let me surmise the parking situation, Chief Walker. Ours is a unique situation here with the mall. I guess the way, but because in some cases it's kind of treated as they're not together, in other cases they're treated as together. And unfortunately, the uniqueness of the mall here, a lot of these businesses affect each other. Unfortunately, it was like the advent of when Joyce came in, there was the parking variance allowed at that time. I did voice an opinion, and unfortunately, they had a traffic expert that said that there'd be no impact. Unfortunately, the bulk of my tenants did experience an issue. Ironically, so did the other property owner. I had conversations. I know of like Maison, Tommy, whatever. He was having the exact same issue. So it wasn't isolated to me. And I did try to talk to Joyce about issues that could alleviate it. Unfortunately, he was not receptive to any suggestions. And I did try a variety of different alternatives. This guy, I know if Chief Walker recalls, it goes back to he was a lieutenant. I was like, I even explored the option, possibility of hiring auxiliary police officers just to notify people that if they're patronizing Joyce or one of those other stores, that they couldn't park on my side. And we explored that option. I think at that point we were waiting for the chief's approval, and then the incident or accident happened with the mall. So that kind of went by the wayside. But also at the other time, I explored the option of doing tickets. And unfortunately, again, the issue there was I tried to warn people if they were going down to the other end, because I did it myself. Again, I would have to be the one to go ticket people, and then I would have to go to court myself. And then, majority of the times people would just deny they'd ever parked there. And I started taking photographic evidence, and people said, that, oh, I was never parked there. I was parked on the other side. And I'd show a picture of their car with my store, in the background there. So, and then the only option left to me that I'm not fond of was, unfortunately, to tow people's cars away. And I know that was unpopular, but it was the only avenue left open to me. I think at one point Joyce even put up a sign blaming me for towing people's cars away. But I mean, he neglected to mention I can't really tow someone's car that's not on my property. So I mean, it's a little bit of a two-way street here. I mean, we have to kind of, in this mall situation, we kind of work together a little bit here. I mean, there is additional parking in the rear, as others have pointed out. The problem is, majority of Joyce's customers are not going to be parking in that rear. It's just an inconvenience. They prefer not to do it. And so, I mean, I spoke to the owner of Joyce numerous times, asked him to please, check with your customers that are coming in. Where did you park? And I'll leave it at that. Whatever. I did have a conversation with him. So, I think that's pretty much. I just wanted voice that my big concern is traffic. Ironically, it hasn't been an issue last couple of years because all the empty storefronts on the other part of the mall. I mean, I am proud of the fact that I was able to keep all my customers, all my tenants. Again, they're still there, but I mean, in this economy, it's like everyone's struggling to keep what they can. So, but anyway, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments this evening. Rena, do we have anybody else in the audience? Okay, so-
No, I believe that Jiwon Sun has already put their hand down, so I'm not sure if they want to speak, but
Mr. Wall was the only one with hand. Okay. very good.
all right.
All right, at this time, I will entertain a motion to close the meeting to the public. I'm sorry, close the application to the public.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Pfeffer.
Second.
Second. Thank you, Mr. Cray. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstained? Okay, we're now closed to the public. At this time, I will entertain a motion on the application as presented, please.
Mr. Chairman, just before we get into that, I was part of that Joyce restaurant approval. I was here for that at the time. And I thought we were pretty specific, if I'm not mistaken, in having them drive their customers to the back parking lot, so much so that we even had them erect a sign at the beginning of the mall, which I believe is still there today, parking in rear. It appears that they're not enforcing what they had may have agreed to. And again, this was a while ago, but I would ask our planner to go back to that approval and take a look at that approval and see if they're conforming to what they had agreed to. And if not, then you can turn it over to the building inspector or whoever, or the zoning officer, who happens to be the same person, and maybe deal with that a little bit. Because again, I spoke to the folks at the diner a couple of nights ago, and they asked me about this application. He says, Jim, I don't want to, be nasty or anything, but they're taking up all the prime spots on my property, and he doesn't want to do what was done next door with your car will be towed kind of thing if you're not coming into my establishment. So I would ask through the chair if we can direct our zoning officer to take a look at that approval again, and if the gentle pressure needs to be applied, that he do so. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am.
We can certainly take a look at that original approval and see what we can do to alleviate the parking situation there.
Thanks, Tom.
Okay, thank
That's
you.
it. Thank you.
All right, on that note, motion on the application, please.
I
Mr.
will.
Chairman,
Oh, okay, go ahead, Mr. Merman. You're
no,
better.
go ahead. I was just gonna be my guest.
All right, so I will make a motion to approve this application with the stipulation that the employees park in rear and that all drop off and pick up from delivery services also be done from the rear of the building to help alleviate any parking issues that arise. Other than that, I think it's a nice application. Sounds like a fun place. So I'll offer that for approval.
Mr. Chairman, can I add to that?
Yes, Mr. Merman?
Okay. I believe the motion should contain that terminology that this establishment be considered as a restaurant versus a fast food application for this application purposes. Furthermore, that any signage installed be in accordance with the borough ordinance and reviewed and approved by our zoning officer. Other than that, yeah, I think that.
Mr. Chairman, I'll agree to that amendment.
Okay, very good. Mr. Suresti, any issues with the conditions as presented by Mr.
No,
Davis?
not at all. I think they're totally reasonable.
Okay. All right, with the motions made by Mr. Arakalian and Merman, may I have a second, please?
Second.
Mr. Pfeffer, thank you. Ms. Steinle, when you're ready.
All right, Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
Mr. Caslin,
Yes.
Ms. Boland,
Yes.
Mr. Merman,
Yes.
Mr. Pfeffer,
Yes.
Mr. Cray,
Yes.
Mr. Arakalian,
Yes.
Mr. Gibbons,
Yes.
Mr. Esposito.
Yes.
All right, the motion passes.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Congratulations. Good luck with that.
At this time, Mr. Chairman, should I leave the meeting?
I think, Mr. Mayor, I think this is a prime time for you to vacate. Yes.
Good luck with the work of the board, and I thank you all for your service.
Good night, Mr. Mayor.
Thank
Good
you.
night,
Good night, Mr. Mayor.
Good night, Mayor.
Okay, next item on our agenda this evening under new business is 821 Car Club LLC. Property is 821 Kindercamack Road, Block 206, Lot 9.0. This is an application for site plan approval and variances relative to a proposed car club. Good evening, Mr. Dictus.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Chris Dictus here for the 821 Car Club. Initially, I'd like to thank everybody for the time that you could give us this evening so we could present testimony. I have two witnesses. I have Lindsay Knight, our planner, and I also have Jose Caballo, our architect. Just as a preface to the application, this is the term club may be misleading. This is a place where men and women who have exotic or antique cars will be storing the vehicles in a climate control situation. We will have no employees. To deliver your car or to pick it up will be by appointment only. There'll be a minimum lease of the storage for 3 months. There'll be no garbage. And the cars will be there. You're talking either antique cars or high-end performance cars, but these cars are basically driven to car shows and rarely taken out on the open road because of their value and basically for their value and their uniqueness. I have with me is the owner, Miss Laura Rave, and if necessary, she'll testify. But you're all aware of the site. The site is it's previously occupied auto mechanic shop. The repair work, if any, will be done by the owners of the vehicles if they want to tinker. But that'll be done by them. We will have no mechanics on staff. Again, we'll have no employees. The owner will be there, Miss Rave and her husband, as needed basis. But to take some of those situations out that we discussed with the prior applicant, I just want to put that on the record. There'll be no sign. There'll be no sign. The signs will be internally or on the internet for these people to store their vehicles. And with that, as a preface, I'd like to move Mr. Caballo's testimony. And Jose, I don't see you, but I'm sure you're in the audience.
I am here, Mr. Dickus.
Good evening. Thank you.
Can anybody see me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Our first witness is Jose Caballo, a registered architect. Can we have Mr. Caballo sworn so I can qualify him, please?
Yes. If you please raise your right hand, do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And could you please state your name, spell your last name, and provide your address for the record?
Absolutely. Jose Carballo, last name C-A-R, B as in boy, A-L-L-O, 171 Main Street, Hackensack.
Mr. Caballo, you a licensed architect of the state of New Jersey?
Yes, I am.
And how long have you had your license?
Since 1986.
And since 1986, have you had an opportunity to testify before either zoning or planning boards in Bergen County or any other county of the state?
Yes, about 100% of the boards in Hudson County, about 50% of the boards in Bergen County. I was appeared in front of this board for that building that is keeping Mr. Costa home tonight, 44 River Edge Road. I did that building for him several years ago. And yes, I've been accepted as an expert in architecture in all those boards.
Council would like to move, subject to voir dire, Mr. Caballo as our architect.
Any objections?
I would move to accept his credentials.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank
you
you.
may proceed. Yeah.
You can, proceed. Yeah.
Thank you. Ms. Kabari, do you have an opportunity to prepare a set of plans for the 821 Car Club for the property known
Yes.
as 821 Kindercomack Road?
Yes, we did. And if I'm allowed to share a screen, I will do that.
Thank you. Council, we have these marked
Yes.
virtually as A1.
Can you see the drawings on the screen?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the set of drawings that was submitted to the board. It consists of, just kind of look at this thing, it consists of 5 drawings. Latest revision date is 8/16/2022. And the drawings that I have on the screen have not been revised or changed in any way or manner from the drawings submitted. So as Mr. Dickes was explaining before, and I believe Mr. Behrens was alluded to as well, we do have a schematic site plan. This is the site plan. This is a corner of Lincoln and Kindercomack. And the building really hasn't changed. The footprint has not changed. The addition that we show here on the front is actually covered by the building above. So when I get into the zoning analysis, you're going to see that we're saying that we have a 2% increase on the footprint. We actually do not, because this footprint was actually already established by the second floor of the building at this point. The only other change that we're making to the building is the sloping roof that we have on the north portion of the building. That is going to be a flat roof, so we can store vehicles in that area. In going to the zoning chart, couple of things, and this chart basically almost coincides with what Mr. Costa showed. I know that Mr. Costa recused himself. I'm just using his report as a point of comparison. But again, everything on these, all the different items are pre-existing. We are not exacerbating any of them. Even when you go to the next to last line where it says maximum lot coverage, which is 40, we call that as 42. We believe that's an error because that's the portion of the building. If you look at the lower left-hand corner, that is actually underneath the building, and you'll see later that it was just a wall that was pulled out, and it was pulled out to meet the building above it, or the portion of the building, the second floor above it. The other variance that Mr. Costa also says that we had is the improved lot coverage. We have it as existing. He had a yes. Not sure whether that was a typo or not, but we're not increasing that. It was 97 as existing, and it's 97 as we keep it. We're not adding to the footprint or coverage of that building. So what you see here is the existing building. I'm sure we're all very familiar with this building. Again, used to be a Bentley storage and repair business. It's been vacant for a while. This is the way I go home, so I see it every day back and forth. It's a gorgeous building. It's a nice Tudor style. It's really well done. The proportions are great. What you see on the perspective above is what we want to do with the building. And as you can see, this is the glass doors that we're replacing this indentation in the building with. Again, it stays within the building, so that's really not coverage. Coverage was established by the second floor. The other thing that we're doing to the building is, you all obviously seen the building, and the actual storage wing that's on the north part of the building, that had, it was just an open, it's an open shed for cars. And what we want to do is make sure that they're enclosed so that all the cars are safe, they're maintained in a secure place, and it's temperature control, because these cars are really very expensive. Let's see. So this is the portion. This is the building as it is existing right now. There was a garage portion on this side, and they had a mechanics garage in there. That will not be a mechanics garage anymore. This is the office portion of, I guess, the old business. This is where that glass wall is. We're removing that glass wall, locating it at this point, just to be at the face of the building. And these are the old garage. It's almost like a carport, basically. You had columns at approximately 18 feet on center, and you could park 2 vehicles in that area in between the columns. So basically, you had 8 vehicles on this side and just the repair garage on the left side. So again, this is an enlarged view. This is the glass wall that we're removing, and it's going to end up at this portion right here, just to match the existing building. This is what we're calling the showroom. And you have these 2 big doors over here. Showroom is not as you would have it in a car dealership where you're showing off cars to sell. Basically, a showroom, it's a big space, so we couldn't fit any more than 2 vehicles, just for the really expensive vehicles. And car owners who want to store their vehicles here will have the choice of parking in here, or on the other side, which now it's just a garage. It's not a repair anymore. On the right side, where we used to have, for example, this whole area exposed, now we have 2 garage doors. Again, we're parking inside an enclosed space. Second floor, and this is the largest showroom. As you can see, it shows 2 large doors for vehicle storage. Second floor is basically office space. Somebody wants to come in and view the place. A potential renter or user, this person will be brought upstairs. They'll be sitting at a living room type of environment. But meeting room doesn't mean that you're going to have people there. This is not that type of business. Club is, I guess, just a name because I think the owners require some sort of a membership for you to become to this, but not necessarily a club where you come in and have cigars and drinks and what have you. Excuse me. This is the first floor. This is the the different doors and the different spaces that we have for vehicles. This weirdly shaped cars are storage spaces. One of the other things that we're doing in the to this building, you'll see the elevation, is we're raising the roof on only this wing of the building. Reason for that is if you have an owner who, as an example, has 2 vehicles that they want to store here, there's an option of having a lift or a stacker so they can park, one car on top of the other. This will give it the privacy that that door is just for them, and that's where the 2 vehicles will be. Again, the front of the building, which is probably the most important part of this presentation. Here's the front of the building. We're maintaining the look of the building. So you see the 2 dormers on the left-hand side. You see the tower. That's all going to be maintained. It's going to be repaired. This is the new glass entrance, the main portion of the building. And then you can see all of the doors on the right side for the vehicles that will be parked in the interior of the garage. As you can see that as we raise the roof on this on that wing, just to have the ability to double stack vehicle, still maintains the same Tudor type or Tudor aesthetic that the main building has, which I think it'll be a great look and a great way of finishing up the building. This is on the right side elevation, which is looking south from the north portion of the building. So you can see this is the flat roof, which is the flat roof down here. Excuse me, and it allows for double stacking of vehicles. Again, the footprint of the building itself hasn't been expanded. There's no other additions or extensions other than the second floor roof, which falls within the footprint of the building. As we went through the zoning analysis, I think all the variances are pre-existing. And Mr. Dictas, this is all I have right now.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions of Mr. Caballo?
Yes, so I have a question, but first I have one for Marina. Marina, did we mark these drawings in as A1 and so forth?
It was marked as A1 and it was previously submitted to the board as part of the application.
Okay. Mr. Corabella,
Yes.
you're testified that your site plan, as I recall, is on your first sheet. It's labeled proposed schematic site plan.
Yes.
Is that correct? You testified that is your site plan?
This is our site plan. That is correct, Mr. Melman.
Okay. I have before me a drawing prepared by Naglia Engineering that's titled Boundary and Topographic Survey. Do you consider that your site plan in any way?
That is the survey that they prepared. We use that in preparation for our site plan. If you can see what I'm showing on the on the screen, we give credit to Naglia Engineering for that survey that they prepared.
Okay, so the drawing by Nagler is merely a survey which is both topographic and boundary. So that is only a survey. Now, I'm looking for a topographic, a site plan prepared by an engineer. Let's put it that way.
I'm sorry,
And
prepared by, I missed that.
I am looking for a site plan prepared by an engineer, a classical site plan. You have a proposed schematic. That's only a schematic. Okay. And the question is, are you going to be using Naglia Engineering in any way to do site preparation? Site engineering?
I
I
can answer
believe
that.
that's a question from Mr. Dictas, yes.
Any engineering work that's requested or required by the municipality or by, well, not Mr. Costa, but whatever engineer will be handling this matter will be conducted by Naglia Engineering. Our planner tonight, Lindsay Knight, is also from Naglia, so our two
Okay.
expert entities are Naglia Engineering and Mr. Caballo.
Okay. The reason I brought that up at this point is if that's the case, then I am going to have to recuse myself from this application because I do work for Naglia occasionally, and we just finished a large project, so there would be a conflict. So I want to let you know that ahead of time. So, Mr. Chairman, please note that. And probably at this point, I could sign off because I'm conflicted.
It certainly sounds like a conflict to me. Ms. Steinle, do you concur or do you have a different perspective?
If Mr. Merman feels conflicted, he can sign off. He should sign off right now. Yep.
All right. All right.
Okay.
But before I go, all right, I'm gonna leave it there. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Very good. Good luck, guys.
Okay, thank you. Mr.
Thank
Merman.
you.
Okay, do you want to sign me out?
All right, we can move on with additional board questions.
Okay. Any questions from the board at this time for the applicants and architect?
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Pfeffer?
Yeah, I have a few brief questions. First, regarding signage, I believe council said there will be no signs. I know that there's that banner hanging from the fence or the gate now, sort of a coming soon type of banner. Is that going to be removed? And are you saying that there won't be any banners as well as permanent signs on the premises?
The banner will be removed forthwith. And we're not looking to put up any signs at this time. And any banners, if they're permitted by the ordinance, they'll be short-term. I haven't looked. I leave that to the two planners. But if a banner is permitted for 30 days, it'll be 30 days. If not, it's coming down. But there'll be no sign. This is a very private, exclusive situation. And we want to keep it very low-keyed and really aesthetic to blend right into the Kinderkamak Road and into the neighborhood.
Okay, so you'll have no problem stipulating that any banners that are put up, or any signs for that matter, if in the future it's decided to have a sign, will just conform with any ordinances or regulations.
Yes,
correct?
sir. Absolutely. That will stipulate to conformity to the zoning ordinance, subject to the board review and municipal ordinances.
Thank you. Now, another question I had to do with your statement that there are no employees. So that leads me to just ask, how does this actually operate? If I have a classic automobile and I want to store it in the premises, is there a way that I personally access the space, or how does that work? If you can just elaborate.
If I may, thank you. No, what'll happen is, Mr. Pfeffer, you would call either Miss Rave or her husband and say, this is Bruce Pfeffer. I have my, vehicle. I want to drop it off. Okay. Or I want to pick it up to go to a car show. What time? Saturday morning, 10 o'clock. You show up at 10 o'clock. The Mrs. Rave and her husband will be there. They'll open the doors. You'll take your car out, because they're not going to take the car out because they don't want to be responsible for the driving the vehicle. And you'll take your custom or antique car out, attend the show. And when you finish the show, you call, I'll be back at 6 p.m., 7 o'clock, whatever time the car show ends. And you put the car back into the bay or move it onto the lift, as Mr. Caballo indicated.
Okay, so there's nothing automated about this process.
No.
They basically call for an appointment and somebody lets you in and lets you out.
Correct.
right?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
an appointment only.
Okay. And there's no opportunity for someone to just leave their car, not that anyone would want to, but leave their car in front if someone wants to return it and there's nobody there to let them into the space. There would be no opportunity for them to just park it in front of the premises.
No, that will not be permitted. And there'll be no opportunity to do that.
Mr. Dictus, would you like your client to testify to this information?
Sure. You have to raise your right hand.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right, and could you please state your name, spell your last name, and provide your address for the record?
Good afternoon. My name is Laura Rave. I live at 381 Henley Avenue, New Milford, New Jersey.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Rave, you're the owner of 821 Car Club LLC, correct?
Yes,
All right, and your husband is not owner, but he assists you, correct?
yes,
All right, there's a question pertaining to about a drop off of a vehicle. Is that permitted, or what is your policy as to a vehicle after hours, or they don't call you for an appointment to let them in?
no, it's only by appointment.
Thank you.
All right, so if someone wants to drop off their car, they can only do it by appointment. And if for some reason they want to drop it off early and nobody's there to let them in, is it your testimony that they would be prohibited from leaving it parked at the premises, correct?
Yes,
Okay. Okay, I have nothing further. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any further questions from the board at this time?
Mr. Chair.
Yeah,
Okay, start with Mr. Gibbons. Mr. Cray, I'll come back to you.
So I understand that obviously the lot coverage has been what it is. Was there any thought or consideration given to trying to improve the lot coverage issue? I know on the left side of the building seems like, wasted space or space that may not be used on a regular basis. Was there any thought given to trying to add some sort of green space and non-impervious coverage to help. 97% is a lot.
We're willing to work with the municipality if they want the streetscape trees or that kind of implementation to, the proper trees. So these trees that are a streetscape because they have limited rooting and they don't destroy the sidewalks, et cetera. That would be the best situation. To have green grass on the side would really not be practical, but trees, or if you want some towns want large planters. I don't know if Rich wants large planters with, and I'm talking, 6 foot, 4 foot height, 4 foot diameter planters, but whatever the town likes, we would be willing to comply with that.
Yeah, I mean, being on a busy intersection on a corner, I wouldn't think anything tall would be appropriate or safe. I wouldn't want the chief to get mad at me here. But, I would think that could be, I think there could be opportunities to add some sort of green space and just get rid of some of that impervious coverage. So, I would personally like to see some sort of something done just to improve that and improve the streetscape. So my other question is for you have some very large, meeting space / living room type, whatever you want to call that space upstairs. So we're testifying that there will not be any sort of meetings, gatherings, in those spaces where there would be, all of the owners or all of the renters or something like that meeting.
No.
So it looks like a very large space to have that really wouldn't get used. So I'm just curious if that would ever be used for anything other than a one-on-one with the owner or something like that.
No, it will be just a place for them to sign their contract and to see where their cars will be stored.
Okay. We're going through this remodeling, and it's better at this point when the Ray family has spent this money to fix it out and build it out properly, sheetrock, painted, et cetera. So it's named office, but I mean, practically speaking, these will be a limited clientele, and there'll be, a desk, a couple chairs, and they can meet with either Mr. and Mrs. Rave to sign a contract to store their vehicles. There's not going to be any gatherings and people congregating. It's not that type of location.
Okay. Yeah, just looking at that very large space, I mean, I guess it's just a factor of having a large space in the building that you're just using it for.
Exactly what it is. It's just to be fixed up, painted sheetrock, carpeted desk, credenza, couple chairs, and that's basically it.
Okay. So that would just, I guess, answer my other kind of concern that there would be, I guess, a large portion of your clientele being there at once and having a parking issue of those folks then parking on Kinderkamak where we already have issues with parking. So you're really anticipating just 1 or 2 of your clients coming in at a time, taking their nice car out, leaving their regular car there in their spot, and there really shouldn't be any other parking on site. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I think that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Craig?
Yeah, I believe your drawing shows that the columns and the small block wall and the wrought iron gate into the carport area, that's all going to remain?
That is correct.
Okay. As far as traffic flow, the entrance is it down near where those pavers are, or it's right across the white part of the sidewalk? It's right across the sidewalk there, right?
It's right over here, yes.
Okay, so they'll come in, either pull directly into those overhead doors ahead of them, or turn into the gate and then turn into the renovated carport, into the garage space. Are these cars typically driven to shows, or are they flatbed trucked, or are they towed? How are they moved from here to shows and back?
No, the cars have to be in mint condition, so they can drive it. I don't think
The cars are driven. They're
driven.
They're driven.
Okay, so we're not gonna have,
local shows. They're not going you flatbedded, not that we're projecting.
if you're showing a car in a car show, it has to be in mint condition. It has to be driven.
so I understand it has to be able to be driven, but if you have a and you know, a 1956 going Mercedes, you may not want to be driving it from here to wherever it's going. You put it on a flatbed, right? Not to, so you're not running a mile. So I'm just wondering, is there the potential that, you know, people are pulling in and trying to maneuver a flatbed truck in there to put one of these cars on to take it to a distant show?
We don't foresee that, Mr. Cray. Not that these are local people, Bergen County people that have these cars. It's really, they have no place to store them in their house. The garage is at home and no place to store.
Okay, and no change to the traffic flow is be
No.
necessary to consider. Okay, that's all.
In fact, we got county approval this morning. Miss Knight will testify that the county exempted this project. So the county's already approved the curb cuts and the plans are submitted this morning. They were submitted to the borough, to the borough, yes, this morning too, or this afternoon.
Okay, that's all I have.
Okay. Mr. Barron's, any questions from you?
Yeah, just a couple, I guess, to get out of the way. And the first one would be for whoever wants to answer it. So, you know, based on the plans, it looks like you have the 4 existing garage bays. And now with the 8 new bays with the double stackers, it looks like you could store, you know, 4 + 16. So 20 cars could be stored on the interior. And I guess what I'm trying to arrive at is a maximum site car count so that it doesn't become, you know, where the front of the site, the surface parking area doesn't become an issue in terms of car storage. The inside, you know, get it. We don't want the outside to become, you know, sort of like a parking lot, I guess. So is there a sense of how many cars total we'd store on site?
First, there'll be no cars outside. I mean, if they're pulling them out, they'll be sitting outside on the
Right,
curb
moving
cut.
around, right.
But there'll be no cars lined up. But these are the value of these vehicles to have them just sit outside in the elements. First of all, you're not going to have them out in a bad element. The vehicles will be submitted based on the location, the square footage, that they can be safely parked and stacked. So if I tell you 20 and I have 22, I don't be in violation. If I have, you give me 20 and I only put 18, I don't want to say I've lost the right to put 20 in. So it would meet really the square footage of the site. That'll be finally calculated by Mr. Caballo and Mr. and Mrs. Rave for buying lifts to put the cars on.
Right, but just to be clear, but limited to the interior. Would be the
Oh, yes,
storage.
yes, of course.
Okay, that's what I'm getting at.
I'm sorry, misunderstood. No outdoor storage, if that's the question.
Okay.
Outdoor
All right.
storage.
I think, I don't know if it's still there, but there was one previously, sort of a larger military vehicle, but so you'll only be storing cars on site, no other trucks or big vehicles, anything like that, RVs or whatever.
No.
Okay. Just going through my list here real quick. Your application indicates that you'll be doing minor repairs. Is that still the case, or could somebody specify what exactly that means?
Jose, can you please
So the minor, the minor
upgrade and
repairs.
repair we're doing?
So the minor repairs will be the owners tinkering with the cars inside the inside the building. I don't know if they may even be doing oil changes or anything like that, but it's just minor stuff that they may be doing. You know, if you go back to the old car, maybe a carburetor or something like that. But yeah, certainly we're not going to be changing, engines or, rotating tires or anything of that nature.
Right. So no body work, no painting, no like you said,
No,
no
no body work, no.
Okay.
We'll stipulate that. No body work, no spray booths, no.
Okay.
No.
All right.
It's too much. The value is too expensive for the other vehicles. No.
Okay, no, I get it. And again, I'm just trying to go through my list here real quick so I can stop talking. In terms of, I think your application indicates there'll be no sales of any kind. Is that accurate? No
Correct.
sales or
No
no
sales.
auctions, nothing like
No.
that?
No sales, no auctions, no fuel.
Okay. Just bear with me. I lost my place. Just give me a sec. Mr. Caballo, no exterior lighting improvements proposed?
At this point, no, very minimal. I mean, whatever lights we had there before, whatever sconces on the walls, we're reusing the same lights.
Okay, thank you. Just wouldn't want anything too glaring and it sounds like you're trying to do something nice. So I can appreciate that, but just.
Absolutely.
It's a
We don't
full,
want this thing, we don't want this place to be an airport landing strip. So, that the lighting should be very, very subdued.
Right. All right. No dumpster area, obviously. You'll be keeping
No.
things inside. Okay. All right.
Yes,
That's all I have.
Thank
Okay. All right. That's all I have for now. Thanks.
Chief, any questions from you?
No, I had the opportunity to meet Miss Rave's husband, Manny, very nice individual with I think a very a neat plan for this facility. The military truck actually belongs to the police department. The Quarterwigs allowed us to park it there, and then Manny was nice enough to let us park it there until we had a place to park it. Now, I won't tell you where that is, so you don't beat me up. But no, we really have no concerns. We're kind of excited about it. I think it's going to be a nice addition and not have any impacts that we would normally be concerned about, whether it be traffic or groups of people or anything.
Okay.
You're not parking it in front of the Joyce restaurant, are you?
No, sir.
Just checking.
If I may, before we move on, I do have a couple of questions. Could you speak to exactly what the stacking equipment is going to entail? How is that going to work? Is that hydraulic based? Is it, how is that going to operate?
Ms. Rave can answer that question, Mr. Castle.
It's a lifter and it's all hydraulic.
Okay, is it move within, are you going to be installing those? Are they movable within the premises or are they mounted to the floor?
They're mounted to the floor.
Okay. And
So let me pick it up at this point. These are stackers like you see in New York City, in all these parking areas where, you come in, there's a car underneath it and there's another car above it. They're electrically worked. Even, they work the hydraulics. So there'll be one car underneath, one car up on top. It's not like a semi-automatic parking system that actually, moves around, horizontally as well as vertically. This is only a system that's going to be worked by the owner of the vehicle. So it's a very simple system. And yes, they are attached to the ground because you don't want, the cars to be, tipping over.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, every bay will have its own system, its own stacker. So for example, as Mr. Barron was alluding to before, you could actually park 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 cars on this wing that I have shown on the screen right now. But yes, that'll be just a 2-car stacker.
Okay. And then, so operationally, if I've got a car that's on the lift that I want to take down, I'll move the car that's underneath it out and I'll sort of swap cars, if you will. Is that the plan of operation?
That is correct. And again, that's another reason why you can't really have any cars parked on the outside, because you have to remove the car on the bottom first, drop the other one, take it out, and then put the one that you just removed back in and, lift it up so that when you come back with the other car, it'll be down at the bottom.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay.
Given that, I have one question. The garage doors in that section, are those glass, with mullions, or is that solid door?
We're showing glass with mullions right now.
So you're going to be looking in and seeing the stacked cars through the doors.
You're right. You're only going to see the lower vehicle.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Dictus, if you would, proceed
Thank
with your next witness.
Our next witness is Ms. Lindsay Knight, our planner, also from Neglia. Lindsay, can you come forward so we can qualify you and be sworn in?
Yep. All right. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Could you please state your name, spell your last name, and provide your address for the record?
Sure. My name is Lindsay Knight, Knight. And my office location is 34 Park Ave, Lyndhurst.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. It's like, can you please give the board the benefit of your education?
Yeah, so I have a master's in urban and regional planning from the University of Colorado. I am certified through the American Institute of Certified Planners, as well as professional planner in the state of New Jersey. My license number is 33 LI 00640100. I am in good standing. I've provided testimony throughout the state of New Jersey for the past 10 years, all over Bergen County. I serve as the zoning board planner for Garfield as well as Roselle. Prior to my working for Neglia, I worked in-house for the town of Westfield, where I served as their planner for their zoning board.
I'd like to move Ms. Knight as a planner expert, please.
Any objections from the board? Okay, thank you. Let's
All right,
proceed.
thank you.
So you've been listening to the testimony this evening, correct?
I have, yes.
And you have received a copy of the Burgess report dated October 21st, 22.
I have, yes.
Okay, can you please respond to the questions in the Burgess report and tell us as to the positive and negative criteria for the variances to require, which are all pre-existing?
Sure. Yeah, I'll start first with the use variance, the D1 use variance. So the proposed use, as you heard testimony, is predominantly an automobile storage facility with accessory office, as well as some automotive repair areas. This use is not permitted within this zone district. However, the prior tenant of the building was a very similar use. So although this is not permitted use, because of the previous tenant, this lot is particularly suited for this use, as it is. It has the oversized curb cuts, which is going to accommodate motor vehicles, as well as its location on a county road, which is going to provide access to the site and access to Route 4. So those people using the site will have the ability to take these roads that are more heavily trafficked versus driving through more residential areas. So in addition, as you saw from the drawings, it's not going to be entirely an automobile storage. There will also be the office, the meeting areas, and this is kind of a unique use. It's most likely not a use that's been contemplated by the municipality or thought of when going through the zoning of thinking of uses that would be permitted. And then in addition, the master plan sets a goal for commercial areas to maintain and upgrade existing commercial areas to provide a complete range of office, retail, and ancillary developments. So in this case, the owner, the applicant, is upgrading and maintaining a property that's been vacant for some time now and creating a commercial area and replacing a commercial use that was already there. They're now just maintaining and doing some upgrades similar to the goal in the master plan. In addition, the master plan also has the following objectives: improve where necessary the aesthetic character of the existing commercial development by employing zoning controls and encouraging building maintenance. In this case, the applicant will be making upgrades to the building as well as maintaining it and bringing it back to its original state, that beautiful Tudor architecture. In addition, the master plan also states as an objective to concentrate future commercial development, office, and retail in the existing commercial areas in order to create a community focal point and minimize conflicting land uses. So once again, this is being put in a commercial zone. It's not being put in a residential zone where it would be a mismatched use. So it is in my opinion that this use is going to be furthering the goals and objectives of the master plan. And then to kind of go back on to, it's going to be matching those goals. And then in my opinion, it's also not going to be negatively affecting the borough as it's in line with the master plan. And then just to touch on the bulk variances, although they are existing non-conforming conditions, I think that this lot is a unique lot in the sense that it is undersized by almost 1,200 square feet, as well as it's pretty shallow for the lot requirements of this zone. I believe that it is almost 42 feet short of meeting the depth requirement. So in that case, those two standards are creating a hardship for the property, and being able to meet those bulk requirements is difficult since the site is producing some hardships based on the sizes.
And your testimony is that there's basically no negative impact to the zone and to the master plan.
No, I
The
think
board
it's
would
actually
grant these-
furthering. Yeah, I think it's in line with the goals and the objectives of master plan. It's continue commercial use in a commercial area. It's maintaining a building and upgrading it and keeping those commercial focal points where the borough intended them to be.
And is your testimony the same for, I'm just gonna read the variances into the record, for the minimal lot width, minimal lot area, you just testified to that, correct?
Yes,
Okay, and the depth is pre-existing,
it's pre-existing, existing non-conforming,
and the minimum front yard is pre-existing non-conforming,
existing non-conforming,
minimum side yards, existing non-conforming,
yes, existing non-conforming,
that both side yards existing non-conforming,
yes,
the rear yard existing non-conforming,
yes,
maximum lot coverage existing non-conforming,
yes,
and the impervious lot coverage is existing non-conforming, correct?
yes, that's correct.
And then the testimony you gave would be for all of those variances that we're requesting because they are existing non-conforming. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I have no further questions of the planner. She's available to the municipal planner and to the board members, to the public.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dickens.
Thank you,
Mr.
sir.
Barron's?
Yes, oh, okay, I'm off mute. I have no objections to the testimony, based on the application as represented, it seems to be a fairly low intensity use based on the appointment nature of, having people store cars and retrieve cars from there. I guess I just, again, have no issues with the planning testimony, but I do have a few other just particulars if I could have them addressed by whoever wants to. Will the site be repaved in terms of the surface parking? Is that intended?
Any areas that are damaged will be repaved because we can't have broken macadam with these cars because of a piece of gravel comes out of a chip of vehicle. So no one's going to leave their car there if the macadam's cracked. So anything that's damaged will be repaved.
Okay, so not a wholesale repave, just repair as needed?
Correct.
Okay.
Repair
Will
sealed.
there be- Okay,
Repair sealed.
okay. Will there be any striping for parking, for surface
No.
parking? It'll just be
No.
as is?
All blacktop.
Okay. Those are my comments. I'll defer to Marina, how you want to add any of the typical engineering comments we have. I can ramble a few off, or we could just add them in later. Leave it to you.
I guess we could, if you want to ask some of our typical questions, that's
Right.
fine.
Okay, and I just,
If the board
this-
has any additional questions, that's fine.
okay, this is what the borough typically asks, and I was asked to give an overview. One is we typically ask for the applicant to TV the sanitary sewer lateral.
Yes.
Before
I
and
explained it
after.
to my client. I explained it to my client. That's a standard really throughout Bergen County that they'll come in, there'll be a company, they'll televise the line. If the line is damaged or you have I&I in the line, they'll have to replace the line.
Right, okay. The next one would be a review of the existing inlet and storm sewers on site to be inspected and either cleared or repaired as needed.
Absolutely. That
Okay.
benefits them as well as the municipality.
Right. Just a couple more, bear with me here. Let's see.
Okay.
I think you've already stipulated to it, but repair of any concrete and asphalt as needed.
Yes.
No signage. Yeah, anything damaged to be replaced. Finally, I would just ask, it looks like some of the windows might have been replaced today, that the applicant just stay in close contact with the building department for any, future work being done. Would be my only
Absolutely.
request. So,
Yes.
that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions from the board? We'll start with Mr. Esposito.
I'm okay now. Thank you.
Ms. Boland?
No additional questions.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Gibbons?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Let's start. I want to give you, just so you get a chance to get a question. In. Mr. Craig?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Mr. Pfeffer?
No questions.
Mr. Arkelian?
No, I think I'm good. Sounds like an interesting project.
Thank you.
I have one other question to add, just to confirm, you're not having any materials delivered or stored on premises? Anything?
No,
that-
No, vehicles.
So vehicles only, so anything, any tools, anything
No.
that, okay, nothing.
No,
like
there'll be
that.
no tools, there'll be no work, any work will be, it's your car, say you want to tinker with something, you'll bring your tools and whatever you do, you'll take any garbage with you, you'll take it with you. But we don't foresee that. The cars are too high end. We don't want to waive, giving someone an opportunity if something needs to be tinkered with.
Okay, so it's carry in and carry out.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Alter, did we have the fire department review the application?
No, we did not.
Okay. I think we would, I think I'd like to have the application sent to the chief to have a look at for their input.
I'll send it to him tomorrow.
Whatever the chief or the fire official requires, we'll comply with.
All right, any other questions from the board at this time? Okay. Before I open to the public, there is one other thing. I would, I believe the application should have a separate site plan prepared by an engineer. I know that, I think this was something that Mr. Merman might have been getting into before he had to recuse himself, but yeah, I appreciate the fact that, you know, the architectural plans have a schematic site plan, but I would strongly urge as a condition of approval that a separate site plan prepared by a licensed engineer be presented and approved by the board as a condition should the application get favorable action this evening. Is that something, Mr. Dictus, that you and the applicant would be accepting?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. That said, let's open up to the public. And motion to open the public, please.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Pfeffer, second. Thank you, Mr. Cray. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, at this time, we're now open to the public. Ms. Styling, do we see 4 people?
There are some attendees, so if you'd like to make a comment, press the raise hand button or dial *9 if you're calling in. Oh, okay.
We have one.
And I'll ask you to unmute and please state your name and your address for the record.
Hi, I'm Catherine Tolan. I reside at 782 Summit Avenue. First of all, board, thank you. You pretty much asked most of the questions I had, so thank you for that. I appreciate it. One thing I just wanted to know is as far as, and I want to say it looks very good. The second story, I understand why it's a flat roof. I just want to know in the future, can that be built up or is that the height that's allowed?
Jose?
Yeah, I'll take that on, Ms. Stallings. If there's anything like that is entertaining in the future, they would have to come back to the board. So at this point, we're not entertaining any kind of additions to make it a tall second floor.
Okay, and then my second question is, as far as the pickup days for the cars, is it 7 days a week? What time is a start time, AM, and what time would be an end time in the PM?
It's 7 days a week, but it would not be earlier than 8 a.m. and later than 8 p.m.
Okay, great.
on average.
Okay, and then the last question is, it sounds like there's some very high-end cars, and just as far as the neighborhood goes, security wise, or that's just my other issue? Not an issue, just asking what,
Mr. and Mrs. Rave are going to be responsible for a significant amount of vehicles and high-end vehicles, so the security will be directed with Mr. Cabaya's office and a security company for cameras and wiring, state of the art, because it's just too valuable for anybody to break in and vandalize or destroy or steal.
okay, so as one of the board members said, it does seem like a very interesting project, and good luck to you, Mr. and Mrs. Rab, and thanks board for everything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Is there anyone else in attendance who wishes to be heard on this application in the public? Okay.
I don't see anyone, but you could raise your hand on Zoom. All right, I think that's it.
We'll take that to mean none. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to close to the public.
So moved.
Mr. Gibbons as a first and Mr. Pfeffer
Second.
as a second. Sorry, Ms. Ball, I think Mr. Pfeffer beat you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, they abstain. Okay, we are now closed to the public. At this time, any final questions, comments on the application from either the board or professionals or Chief Walker? Okay. There being none, I will entertain a motion on the application, please.
Mr. Chairman, I would entertain a motion. This is 821 Car Club LLC, 821 Kennecott Road, Block 206, Lot 9.0, where they're going to use the property strictly as a car club with no specific entertainment uses on the upstairs on the second floor, just basically office space. There'll be no on-site parking outside versus inside where they're going to keep the cars. They will conform. I see that the River Edge streetscape is already in place, but if there's any upgrades that need to be done, or possibly the light fixtures outside may need to be painted at this point, we'll ask that the applicant take care of that. Are you in agreement with that, Mr. Ditkus?
Yes, sir.
There'll be no striping on the parking lot. And
Agreed.
I think I've covered most of the,
I
and you'll as part of the resolution, you'll comply with giving the board office a copy of a certified site plan.
Yes, sir.
Chris, did I miss anything?
Just review.
Yeah, I would add one thing. I think there was agreement that you would follow the fire department.
Yes,
suggestions.
of course.
Take
Yes.
recommendations from the fire department,
Yes,
and
of
you'll
course.
we'll include any of Ms. Stinley's comments that were recorded into the record as well.
Yes, whatever the record states.
And I'll make that motion, Mr. Castle.
I think one other thing, Mr. Arakelli, if I may, I think Mr. Behrens had asked a couple of engineering questions, just in terms of TVing the sewer lines and so forth, that I think there was
Mhm.
agreement that would be done.
We stipulated to that. Yes, we did.
Yeah, that's where I went with Marina. Figured she had already had that written down.
Fair enough.
Yep, I think I have everything.
She's very good at that stuff.
Mhm.
So that'll be my motion.
Okay.
I would second that motion.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Gibbons. Ms. Stiley, when you're ready.
All right, Mr. Caslen,
Yes.
Ms. Boland,
Yes.
Mr. Pfeffer,
Yes.
Mr. Cray,
Yes.
Mr. Arkelian,
Yes.
Mr. Gibbons,
Yes.
Mr. Esposito.
Yes.
All right, the motion passes.
Congratulations,
We
folks.
appreciate
Good night.
your time and your
Do you-
effort.
Thanks for your
I
time.
I just have one more question. Do you have any room in there for my vintage 2018 Ford Explorer?
See, I was gonna ask for a ride.
Good luck, folks.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Take
Good night,
care,
everyone.
everyone. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
At this time, that is our final, we have no old business this evening. That is our final agenda item unless anyone on the board has anything further.
I just wanted to give the board an update. I did send over a draft to Tom with some ordinance changes. I wrote a note down about a couple definitions that were talked about tonight, so I might have to make some edits to that, but we should be getting back to you shortly.
Okay.
I have
Good.
one point to make. As of right now, our next meeting is November 9th, and I have nothing on the agenda. And if I didn't receive it by tomorrow, they won't have time anyway. So it looks like we might have to wind up canceling that meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Duly noted. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Gibbons. A second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Cray. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, name stand. Didn't think so. We're standing.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween.
Enjoy. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Night, everyone.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.